Can't post message to someone, some channels. Don't know. There we go. All right. What's going on? What's going on? Welcome. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Couldn't get this thing connected. I know I got a couple people on here now, popping on here. As you come on here, just go ahead and put something in the chat, man. Let me know. Let me know who I'm speaking with, where you guys are from. If you guys don't know, this is the live Q&A, real estate Q&A, brought to you by connectedly.com. Just wanted to get out here, and the whole purpose of this is to give you the game. So answer the questions. If you're going through a deal, we'll pull out the whiteboard. We'll walk you through it. We'll make sure that you got everything that you need to meet in order to move forward with whatever problems you have. So that's the whole point of this thing, man. That's the real deal. So do me a favor, just say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're from, and make sure that we're all on the same page. Make sure you bring your questions. I'm on here just to answer your questions. So if you guys got them, if you're in the middle of a deal, if you're wondering what you should say to someone, if you're wondering how you should structure something, if you're wondering is this something that you should move forward with, or how you should move forward with, let me know. You can put it in the chat. It takes a couple minutes to update, or a couple seconds to update, but at the end of the day, we'll get your questions answered, hopefully. So go ahead and pop your stuff in there. While I'm waiting for you guys to do that, I wanted to briefly kind of talk to you guys about Connectedly and what it does, man. It's an all-in-one tool for you guys to be able to utilize, and not only teaches you, now has a wholesaling course inside of it, but we're going to be adding the Airbnb course to it as well. But the main feature of the software is to help you connect with incoming leads, hot, warm leads. That way you can nurture those leads along until you can get them get them on the phone and then close them. So that's the whole goal of it, man. If you guys are interested in it, you can go to connectedly.com. I'm just literally just rambling on now, waiting for someone to go ahead and put something in the chat, say hello, let me know where you're from, ask a question so we can move forward. This is Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We're doing live Q&As. I know last week we didn't have it. I was in Mexico last week, and the service was horrible. It was pointless in even trying. Wherever I was, we've gone to Mexico. This is the second time in like 2 months. The first time was beautiful, man. They had great Wi-Fi, but this time the Wi-Fi was absolutely horrible. So anyway, if you're on here, I see that there are 7 people on here. I don't have one single person in the chat letting me know where they're from. Detroit, thank you. Appreciate that. If you have questions, Vino Tough from Detroit, if you have questions, let me ask you this. What part of real estate are you in? Are you a real estate agent? Are you a wholesaler? Are you an investor? Are you looking for fix and flips? Let me know. I want to be able to pull things out of you guys. So I know some of you guys are new on this. They're just popping on here every Wednesday, hopefully every Wednesday, unless I have a trip to Mexico where I don't have internet. This is the time for you to ask your questions. Make sure that you put a little notification on so that you can go ahead and get notified whenever we go live, and remind you there's no reason now, if you have a potential deal that's something that you're having issues with, or you don't know which way to go. I want to be that resource for you. I want to help you out. I'm not asking for anything. It's free. We're here on YouTube, so it's streaming for free. This is your time, man. This is your time. Everybody says they want to, pick people's brains. You got to do it. This is the time to pick my brain, right? This is the time to figure out which way we go. I've helped a lot of people out on that whiteboard there, structure their deals and figure out ways that they can get a deal closed. So this is your time. So Vino Tough, since you're the only person that's responded, said that you're from Detroit, let me know where you're, what type of real estate you're doing, what type of real estate you're looking to get into. Just getting into real estate, and I wanted to start with wholesaling, so your service would be a good way to go. So Vino said this here on the screen here. What's going on, James? Oh, Mario, what's up, man? Man, hop into this thing while you can, man. It's ridiculously what we're doing with it, but I want to say this with you, for people who are just now getting into wholesaling. It's your first time, you haven't started yet, you haven't gotten the deal yet. I think perception going into it is number one. I've said this time and time again. If you go into it thinking that you have that you're going to get a deal within the first month, first 2 months, first 3 months, and that does not happen, and you got your heart set on that. That's what your mind was set on. Oh, I'm going to knock this out. It looks easy. Or even if you don't think it's easy, but you're just seeing other people, their results that they've got stuff done in a month, and then that doesn't happen. A lot of times, what's going to happen is that you're going to set yourself up for failure, and you're going to break your entrepreneurial heart. And that's really important to have the right expectation going into it. So Vino Tough, my suggestion to you is to be prepared to put 5 to 6 months of hard work consistently. Don't miss a day. Every day, add to pushing the needle forward, and you'll eventually get to that finish line. You definitely need to level up. Make sure that you understand the process. Not trying to sell it, but again, in Connectedly, you have a full wholesaling course that's in the back office there, along with how to do Facebook marketing courses and how to set everything up as well. It has all the contracts and scripts, so a really, really good resource for you. But you can find some of those other resources other places. So again, this is not to try to push you to that, but you're going to need to learn the basics. You're going to need to have that paperwork down packed and know how to break it down. So I would highly suggest that. What's going on? My man Marvin, getting wholesaling business, looking for my first deal. He said, how can Connectedly help me? So Marvin, number one, man, we need to understand that, like, how long you've been into it, right? You've been going into this, and I think we need to be critical and look at why. Okay, I just answered your question, but you think you need to look at why you haven't gotten the deal yet. If you've been doing, I know you've been trying for a little bit, so we need to kind of look at just have a self-evaluation and try to figure out, why haven't I gotten my first deal yet? If you've been doing this for 6 months or more, or 6 months or less, excuse me, and you're still constantly trying, just like I told Vino Tough, keep pushing at it. But at that 6 month mark, you should have enough. Leads in your pipeline where you should be capitalizing off of some of these if you have the right process and the training in place. If you're like me, when I started in the beginning and I didn't want to reach out for help, I wanted to try to just YouTube everything. It took me a year, and then I finally broke down, and then I finally got a mentor, right? And then even after that, it took me about 5.5 months of consistently putting in the effort of doing what my mentor told me to do before I got my first deal. So again, having that right mindset, right? And Connectedly can help you in a myriad of ways. Number one, it's going to give you the course. Number two, it's going to keep track and get you. The biggest thing I think I see with one of the biggest things that I think I see with new people is that they don't stay organized. I'm not good at organizing a lot of things. I'll be honest with you. My fiance, if you can see it off camera here, we just had to go through it today because I'm doing things with our bank, obviously with Connectedly, and obviously my real estate business. If you guys have seen me on social media, you just saw that we just locked up a deal, a quadplex that we got under contract. Actually, if you follow me on Instagram tomorrow, you'll see as we do the walkthrough with the general contractor. It's a brand new general contractor. So I don't know how much of that he was going to want to be on camera, but I'll try to sneak some stuff in. You know how I do. So that way you guys can hear some of the questions you need to be asking when you're dealing with general contractors, especially brand new ones that you've never met before, you've never done business with before. And we're also going to be scheduling to have our inspector, because the whole idea of this deal is for us to get this quad, fix it up, and then put it on Section 8. Okay. It's going to be roughly around 11.5% cap after we take out all our operating expenses. So if you guys don't know how to do that, somebody can ask, and I can try to figure that out. If you know how to do it, cool. I won't go into it. But getting organized through your real estate business is what Connectedly is about. You can set reminders, put things on your schedule, so on and so forth. So that's a huge, huge benefit. Something that I think you need to get in order right from the jump, because so many deals will get lost in the shuffle, right? Here's an example. When I first started, I used to do driving for dollars. That's all I could afford. So I got a little notepad and I would just write down. I would go drive for dollars. I look for addresses. I look for homes and I write them down. Then I would have to come home. I would have to put those addresses onto an Excel spreadsheet, right? And then I would upload them up and then to REI Skip and then Skip trace them and then call them one by one, right? And then, but I would do this. I would be out there religiously looking for properties. So I would fill up a notebook rather quickly, okay? And so those are all getting stored. And I had a system for storing them. I would store them by lead source, let's say driving for dollars, December, 20, well, what are we in? March 2021, right? Let's say that's how I do it, right? And I would call those people. I had a set time I would call them, but inevitably the following month I would get a whole nother list, right? And so the people that might have said, "Oh man, call me back in a couple of months," a lot of times those would fall through the cracks. And they told me that they were interested in selling. It's just that I forgot about them, right? Because I'm putting in 300-400 driving for dollars properties, by hand, right? So I can't even tell you how many thousands of dollars I've probably lost, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars I lost because I wasn't organized, just simply because of that, just because someone told me to call them back and I didn't call them back because I didn't remember. I didn't have it noted, right? So having a CRM, customer relationship management tool, is vital when you start off. If you start off doing it right, then it won't be such a big problem when it comes down the line. Because a lot of times when it finally hit me, I had months and months and months of data that I collected that I needed to transport and put into this new system, right? So just get it right from the beginning, so that way you don't have to go through that headache in the back end, right? So cool. So if you're just popping on here, this is our live real estate Q&A brought to you by Connectedly. Make sure that you pop your questions in here. We want to leave no questions unanswered. We want to make sure that we can get to whatever the ailments you're having in your business, whether it's structuring your business, partnerships, joint ventures, how to structure your deals, how to find deals, where should you be farming. I'll give you an example. Once I get off of here, I'm hopping onto PropStream. Excuse me, if you guys don't have PropStream, you should get it. PropStream is like a nationwide MLS system, but it also allows and pulls properties from the county. Okay, so I'm going to be hopping on there because I'm in this search for finding more and more multifamilies. What I'm looking for B2C class cities, depending on your state. So I'll give you an example of that. Atlanta in Georgia here would be an A class city. A B class city might be like Marietta, right? Marietta, Georgia. A C class city might be somewhere out like Mableton. Okay. So these are smaller cities that are outside of the greater A class city. Okay. So I'm specifically going into there because real estate, obviously, in the Atlanta area is getting more and more expensive. More and more people are still moving, and people are spreading out or pushing out. Okay. There's a lot of people that are coming to this particular area, and pretty much any major city, right? There are going to be a lot of people going into the greater metro area of the city, your A-class city near you, okay? A lot of the high-level investors, a lot of the high-level companies, real estate companies, wholesale companies, investment companies, they're spending tons and tons of dollars marketing in those A-class cities. Now, you every once in a while, you're going to find stuff, especially when you're new, you're going to find stuff, every seldomly, right? You're a little more seasoned, you can find things a little bit often because you have a reputation. People bring you things. But if you want, here's the trick. If you want to get something quickly, if you want to get your first deal underneath your belt, don't go to the A-class city. I promise you, you're going to have a lot of competition. Are you going to hear stories of people saying, yeah, I got my first deal in an A-class city, and in Los Angeles, in Atlanta, in New York, in Dallas? Yes, you're going to hear that every once in a while. But why go where a company like, what's that company in Western? I forgot the name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Why go to one of these cities where one of these big companies are spending 40, 50, sometimes $100,000 a month in marketing and try to compete with them when you're just doing driving for dollars, right? It's just not smart, right? So go to some of these B or C class cities and then market to those cities. And so what I'm doing is I'm hopping on PropStream, and I've identified a couple of B and especially C class cities that are on the greater outskirts of the Atlanta, all within about a 45-minute driving distance to the city, right? And I will go ahead and I will canvas areas. And here's what I'm doing. I'm looking for me specifically, right? I'm looking for because of the climate of what's happening, right? Over this last year, we've had a lot of landlords that haven't gotten any rent in over a year at this point, right? A lot of people, a lot of them haven't gotten paid in a year. I was just talking with a friend of mine who bought a couple properties down in Macon, and he's gotten one property that's making him money because it's on Section 8. All the rest of them, he hasn't gotten paid 1 cent in a year's time. So he's a tired landlord. Guess what? Guess what he's doing? He's selling all the properties except for the Section 8 property. So this is what's happening to landlords, especially landlords in these smaller C and B class cities, right? Where I live at, right? There's this is in a high rise. There's a little bit more, the economically it's just more expensive to live here, right? In the Buckhead area, right? So there's more people like that. Even though they went through the pandemic, they were able to still pay their rent, right? In these, these nicer neighborhoods, these higher end neighborhoods, right? But in some of the smaller cities, right, a lot of these landlords haven't been paid in a long time because just of economics. People have went through hard and rough times. They've gotten sick. They've lost their job, right? Their job relocated. Their job shut down just because business, because of COVID, right? And so a lot of people weren't able to pay their rent. They didn't have the financial resources to keep paying rent, and now these landlords are tired. Okay, so this is what you're going to do when you go on. If you head on PropStream, or if you on ListSource or whatever you're pulling your list from, look for these landlords. And the easiest way to do it, obviously, is look for things that are multifamily, duplexes, 2, 3, and 4 units, right? So looking for the duplex, the triplex, and the quad. Why am I specifically looking for that? Because yes, there's landlords that have single family homes for sure, but absolutely, without a doubt, if there is a duplex, triplex, or quad, absolutely, there's a landlord. Someone is buying that property, whether or not they're living in it and renting out the other side or the other 2 units, or whether or not they're completely absentee. 100%, you have 100%, they're a landlord. Okay, so can you pull all the properties out there that are single family homes and hope to find the landlords? Yes, right. Can you pull properties that are absentee owners that are single family homes? Absolutely, yes. Okay, but without a doubt, if it's a duplex, triplex, or quad, or obviously greater, right, bigger, but within the residential, without branching over and stretching over into the commercial sector, without a doubt, 2 duplexes, triplexes, and quads are what? They're investment properties, right? Whether or not the person lives there or not, that person bought it with an investment in mind, right? So knowing that, I'm pulling just those, right? And so I'm pulling just those. My list is smaller, so now I'm not spending an exorbitant amount of money, and I have a good chance, because of what's happened, I have a very, very good chance of finding a tired landlord. Okay, I'm not in a major class city. I'm not in a downtown area where they're talking about people who have have a little bit more money and maybe they weren't affected by the COVID as much. You're talking about these C class, B class cities where there are people were directly affected by what happened, over this last pandemic era, right? So I have a very, very high chance of finding someone that has a duplex, triplex, or quad and hasn't gotten their full rent or any rent for some of them in about a year's time. And guess what? After having that happen to you for a long time, you get tired. Here's what you need to be mindful of, though. Okay, I know this to be to be true in Georgia and in Florida, where I was a real estate agent. I don't know about all the other 48 states, but when you're getting properties that are have tenants in place, okay, you need to be mindful of the contract, that lease agreement. There's a misconception that the lease, when you purchase the property, that all of a sudden that lease is no longer in existence. Okay, so what I mean by that is this: let's say house 123 Main Street The owner was Jim, and Jim, got this property last year in January, fixed it up, and in March he rented it out. Okay, and now, no, let's just say, let's take that back. He got it in March, and it took him 3 months, and in June he rented it out. Okay, so now that 1 year lease started in June. Okay, now Jim hasn't gotten paid rent because of the pandemic. The person was out of work, whatever, got sick for whatever reason, couldn't pay the rent. So he has not gotten paid, and he's tired of it, and he wants to sell it now in March. Now you see that as an opportunity. What's going on, Antoine? You see that as an opportunity, and you're saying, you know what, Jim, I want to buy your property. Jim says, yes, please buy this. It's the perfect price. We got tenants in place, but they're not paying rent. You say, okay, cool. No problem. They're not paying rent. But you have to understand that that lease that was signed with Jim is not just with Jim, it's also attached to the property. So when you buy that property now in March of 2021, knowing that they have a 1 year lease that expires in June, you have to understand that you have 3 more months. What's going on, Ryan? You got 3 more months of them possibly not paying you any rent. Okay. Just because you buy the property doesn't mean that you can tear up that lease. That lease stays with the property until the terms of the property are met, or that 1 year agreement. Now, after that 1 year, they are on a 1 year lease. I mean, they're on a month to month. Most lease contracts are say that they're on a month to month after that. Nevertheless, even though that's understood within the leasing terminology, even though that's the case, you still, at least in Georgia, you need to give them a 60-day notice, letting them know that, hey, you either need to renew the lease, which if they haven't paid rent in the years, I don't know why you want to do that, or you would tell them, hey, your lease is going to be terminated at the end of your 12-month agreement, right? So at the end of the 12-month agreement, they need, even now, okay, that agreement, their rights to that property are now gone. All right. Now they might want to fight it. You can go ahead and do the fight. You can fight that. This eviction process is due with this eviction process that has been they put a halt to is for active leases. Okay. Once they are out of that lease, they have no rights to that property, have no rights to stay in that property. Okay, but you do have to serve them the papers. You still have to go through the process. You have to give them that 60 days notice. At least in Georgia, some places it's 30. Some states, it's 30. But I know in Georgia it's a 60 day notice. So, but you still can get those people out after their lease agreement is up. Now, what if Jim just got that lease signed in February? Well, guess what? And you want to buy that property now in March. You have a whole year right now to rock out with those tenants. Here's what I would suggest. Find properties that either have preferably no tenants in them, like the quadplex that we got under contract yesterday. Find properties like that, and then put those people on Section 8. A lot of people, they kind of like turn their nose up to Section 8. They like to frown upon it. Listen, guys, you see now in this time right now, landlords that were going on the economy and getting rent on the economy. Yeah, you might get a little bit more. You might get $75, $100 more, right? Maybe you do, right? Some places Section 8 is a better deal, right? You have to kind of take a look at it. But what I want you guys to see now is during this time, imagine all the other landlords that aren't getting their paycheck and getting no money coming in, and you're getting it on the first of the month like clockwork, coming in from the government, Section 8, hitting your account on the first, like clockwork, right? That is what you want. When we're looking at going into the mindset of having rentals, is completely different than wholesaling, right? Wholesaling is really quick. I just want to boom, get in and get out, right? Fix and flip, maybe a little bit longer, but still getting in and getting out. Wholesaling, buy and holds these rental agreements, and I'll break down kind of like the numbers we're looking at on this quad that we got under contract tomorrow. We got under contract, excuse me. But we're probably going to make about $1,000 a month, and that's my company, taking in, right, $1,000 a month. Now, a lot of places, and that's that's over 4 units, right? So if you break that down, you're looking at $250 a unit. Okay, so a lot of people are like, man, that sucks, because you're looking at it the wrong way. And it's kind of like buying a McDonald's franchise. No one becomes rich buying one McDonald's franchise. You get rich by buying multiple franchises. Okay, and it's the same thing with rental properties. You're not going to have life-changing money off of one property unless you buy something that's a huge property, right? Most of the time, if you look at Grant Cardone, he has thousands of units that's in his portfolio, right? He's just looking to make $300 to $400 per unit. That's what he's looking like. That's what, after paying off of everything and paying out, he's just looking to make $300 to $400 a unit. But you times that times thousands of units, he's making a lot of money every single month, and it's coming in. Well, he doesn't do Section 8, but that money, if they're paying it, comes in every single month, right? And this is stuff that you can leave to you can't leave a wholesaling business to your kids when you're dead and gone, but you can leave, that quadplex. You could leave that duplex. You could leave that 50-unit apartment complex to your kids when you're dead and gone. And so wholesaling, great. I'm all for it. I'm a champion for wholesaling and I think everybody needs to learn how to wholesale, right? But you need to learn how to wholesale so you can find off-market deals at will, right? Like I promise you, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to hop into this prop stream. I'm going to work on it today and tomorrow. I'm going to set up. I'm going to skip trace some of these people. I'm going to throw them into connectedly.com. I'm going to market to them. And I guarantee you, somebody's going to reach out to us. The system is going to nurture them through the process until it's time for them to schedule a call. And then I'll hop on the phone with them, or Terrell, my business partner, he'll hop on the phone with them, and we'll close the deal, and we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the next one. This stuff is not rocket science, right? We just need to know the process this, just like anything else. Just in your job, the job that you work, your 9 to 5 right now, you have a set process, right? We just need to know the process. So again, man, really excited about that. So I want to walk you guys through that. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to be on Instagram Live and kind of, walk you through with the contractor. Like I said, I don't know if he was going to let me openly film him, or I might just be able to kind of, film him, kind of on the side there where he can't see it. So this Adam says, what is that software for? Again, so this, I know you just popped in here, so I'll recap real quick. If you go to connectedly.com, it'll give you a better view of it. But within connectedly.com, you have a lot of different things. Not only do you have a wholesaling course, we're going to be adding the Airbnb course. Yes, it does have, he said, is it like a funnel? It does have a funnel, unlimited funnels in there as well, but it also does your text message marketing. Are you guys familiar with Community? Have you guys seen people like Gary Vee and other people, the Community app? I think it's called In Community, where they say, oh, text me, and you text somebody and they get a response back. It's like $100 a month, right? And it puts you into their CRM, right? If you guys are familiar with that, somebody put that in the chat. Let me know if I'm just talking to myself, or if you guys understand what that is. But if you see that, we have that feature. You can set that feature up in Connectedly. It's a CRM for your real estate business, or really for any business, but it's specifically designed for real estate, right? So it does all of that. If you go to connectedly.com, it gives you a list of all the things that it does. So yeah, and Nikki, I see you said you know what it's like. Yeah. So appreciate that. Yeah, you said remember to promote. I'm horrible at that, man. Remember to promote, hitting the like button helps your algorithm. Yes, please. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for reminding me of that, because I do. I be getting into it, and I don't do it. So yeah, please hit that like button. Excuse me, I gotta get started. I gotta get used to saying that. Hit the like button so more people get notified that we're on here. That's what it does. So yeah, it's a dope system, man. It's only $49 a month with no contract. You check it. I promise you, you're not gonna be disappointed with it. Not only are you getting all of the software, but you get the how-to videos on how to use it. I hop on there. I do what's called a work with me when you get into our private Facebook group, where it's open. Where you do a work with me process, where you just hop on there, and sometimes I'll be on there and I'll just help you out through anything. So really, really dope. Airbnb course will be hopefully up there by the end of this week. We'll also be in there. So yeah, we're killing it. We're killing it. So all right, man. I want you guys. We're gonna wrap this thing up. If we don't have any questions, go ahead and wrap this thing up. But I want before we pull it to a close, I'm gonna kind of go over the numbers of this quadplex. So I'm gonna be typing this up here, and I want you guys to kind of follow along with the math on how to figure this thing out. So we have a quad, right? Oops, no problem. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. On Facebook, I can't see who the username is, so it just says Facebook user. So whoever just typed in, this is amazing. I really appreciate that. So we have a quad, right? And that quad has obviously 4 units. And Section 8, I'm typing in here, Section 8, paying about $600 a month. Okay. So we got our quad with Section 8 paying about $600 a month. Okay. So since we have them, essentially, if you guys don't know that process, you get a Section 8, you get a checklist. When you have your contractor come through, needs to quote based off of what is needed to bring that property up to Section 8 code, so that we can pass the Section 8 walkthrough. They'll send somebody, an inspector out there, and they'll walk through the property, and they'll make sure that everything is in compliance with Section 8. Okay. And then you can list on gosection8.com or .org. I don't know, forgot what it is. Go Section 8. You can type it in, and then you can find out. And then you can list your property, right? And you can start accepting Section 8 vouchers. Okay. Now, at this is bringing me what? If I have 4 units on Section 8, we get it fixed up, we get people in there, right? So we're doing, that's going to bring us to $2,400 per month, right? So at $2,400 per month, because we got 4 units, okay? Excuse me, we got 4 units, we're making $2,400 per month, okay? We are getting the property, we got the property under contract for $97,500, right? Under contract. And we have about 20, I'm budgeting for 25,000, but I really think it's going to be about $20,000 in work needed. Okay. So 97,500 under contract with $25,000 in work needed. Okay. Now, so with that information, we're going to figure out what my cap rate is going to be. Now, in order to understand what cap is, you're going to get your operating income, or your gross income, and this is yearly. Okay, you need your gross income. Okay, what's coming into the business, and then you're going to subtract out. So that would be the 2,400 times 12, right? And I'll do all this math here. We're going to do it on the calculator so we can see this. So we're going to do times that out times our 12 months, right? And then we're going to go ahead and subtract, and that's all income. In this particular case, it's just a quad, but I want you to be mindful that in some other cases, what if I had laundry on site, right? And I had the coin laundry, right? That's income coming in, right? What if I was paying for, or I was charging for premier parking, right? Excuse me, like where I live at now, to get a set parking spot. Like I have my own parking spot, so I pay extra for that parking spot, right? So anything that's income that's coming in, right? Sometimes it's not just rent; it's anything that comes in. You take that, average it out, times 12 months to get your yearly income. Okay. So then I see your questions there. I'm gonna get to them, but let me just stay in this groove real quick. So after I get that, right, I need to subtract out my operating expenses, right? So just for the sake of time, I'm going to give you just a standard, all right? On a single family home, I normally subtract out 35%. That's 10% for property maintenance, all right? So it's a very, very important property maintenance. Even if someone hasn't broke in the window this month, you still need to put money aside to repair that window, because one day somebody will. Even if someone didn't, clog up the toilet, and you need to have a contract, someone come out there to in the interim to handle that problem, you need to put money aside for it, right? So 10% of what's coming in needs to go to that. Okay, so write down 10% for maintenance. I'm going to do 10% for property management. Management. All right. And we're going to do 10% for capital expenditures. I'm just going to put CapEx. And then I'm going to do 5% for to prepare for vacancies, right? Okay. And that equals a total of 35%. All right. So there you go. All right. So we got 10% for maintenance, 10% for management, 10% CapEx, and 10% for vacancies, equaling 35%, 10, 10, and 5, right? Now, what you need to understand, that's for single family homes. Larger units, there's going to be larger expenses. You need to put away a little bit more. What I'm doing, because I'm very cautious when I'm looking at properties. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised and have more money in my pocket at the end of the day than and prepare for the worst case scenario than be overly optimistic, and then at the end of the day and thinking I didn't account for enough money coming out, right? So what I'm going to do is my operating expenses are going to equal, for this particular project, I'm going to take out where we at 45. Take out 45%. Okay, so I'm taking out a whole extra 10%. Okay, from what I would normally do on a single family home. And if I was doing something like a larger apartment complex, we have a 36 unit that my partner Rel is trying to work out a deal with in Southwest Atlanta. And for that particular one, we're probably going to take out something closer to 50 to 55%, right? Really just want to make sure that we take out enough money so in case something happens, and not only in case, when something happens, you have to understand as a landlord, it's going to happen. Somebody is going to break a window. And even if they don't, eventually a roof will have to be replaced, and a air conditioner is going to go down. It's going to happen. So if you don't take these things out, you're going to be left trying to scramble to figure out where you're getting the funds to fix these things. That's where capital expenditures, those are the large things that have a shelf life. Your air conditioning unit has a shelf life. Your hot water heater has a shelf life. It's going to break down at one point. So you need to set money aside. So when it happens, you're not left in the dark. Okay. So I'm taking out 45% for this, for these expenses right now. Your operating expenses, you're removing that from your gross income. So in order to get your cap rate, in order to get your net operating income, which is where we want to get to, that is subtracting all of your operating expenses against your gross income. Okay, you're taking that out, everything except for debt services. The only thing debt services is essentially your mortgage. Okay, your taxes, you can look at a property and you can figure out what your taxes. I kind of factored that into my operating expenses already, right? Your property management fees, you know what those, you know what that is. It represents a specific percentage, okay? Certain places, especially larger units, you might need to go ahead and find, you might need to go ahead and put in and have the trash man, right? That might be an added expense that's not included with your taxes that you pay certain places, right? Especially commercialized places, you're going to have to pay that separately. You need to factor that in, okay, into your operating expenses. So if you can picture all these things that you need to check off in your mind to figure out, okay, this is coming in. What does it take for me to safely operate this business? Remove those, and that's going to leave you with something called your NOI, which equals your net operating operating income. Okay. So NOI is going to leave your net operating income. So how do we get to that? Gross income subtracting operating income minus without not including debt services will get you your NOI. Okay. Your NOI. All right. So let's do the math with this thing. Okay. Let's do the math here. So we said we had what? We have a quadplex, right? We're going to put on Section 8. Okay. So we're going to put $600 per unit, right? And we got 4 units because it's a quad, right? That's $2,400 a month. Okay. So we got $2,400 a month. And what do we got to do? We got to find that what is our annual income, right? So we're going to do that times 12 months, right? So that's $28,800. Okay. So 28,000, let me write that down here. 28,800 is our gross income, annual income. Oh man, I'm putting gross. You can fill it in. Gross income, 28,000 gross income annually. Okay. Now we need to go ahead and do what? We have to subtract what it takes to run that business, because I know it looks like a house. I know it looks like an apartment complex, but it is a business, and businesses have expenses. So we need to take out, I've already told you that I'm doing this all based off of 45%. Okay. So I'm going to subtract now. So I'm going to take my $28,800 minus 45% equals. So let's do that math there. So 28,000 minus, okay, 45%. That's $15,840 left over. Okay. So we'll take that. That's $15,840. Okay. So once we did this, we took our 28,000, which is our gross income, minus our 45%, which we're saying is our operating income. We're taking out that, we're factoring that out. We're left with $15,840. Okay. Now you're going to take this $15,840. You're going to divide by what it cost for me to get into that asset. Okay. So if you guys remember back earlier, I said here, we're under contract for $97,500. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's, so we got under contract for $97,500. Now I'm not going to go into detail with, I am going to add a little bit stuff in here for the, our closing costs, but there's a lot of other fees in there. I'm not going to go into detail with those, but some of these fees, would be like your carrying costs during the time that we're talking about renovating it. This will be like a very, very short renovation. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram and look at, I think, the second to last post. You'll see me do the walkthrough of this particular property. So you can kind of get an idea of why I'm saying it's really only going to be about 20 grand. I'm factoring another 5 grand in just for oops, right? In case we find something tomorrow when we do the walkthrough with the inspection, we'll really know. But 97,500 plus what I say, $25,000 in work, right? So we're going to add 25,000 for work. Okay. So we're going to be in about 22.5, and I'll add 3% for roughly about closing costs, right? So we're going to be into this thing for about $126,175. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to take this number here, this 15,840, and we're going to go ahead and put that into the calculator. So I'm going to do the math. I'm putting here so we can follow around here. We're going to take 15,840, right? And we're going to divide by 126, 175, 126, 175 equals. So here we go. I'm going to take 15,840 divided by 126, 175. Okay. That's going to give us this number. All right. It's going to give us 0.12 Okay. All right. So with that 15, that's our annual net operating income, right? $15,840. We divided it by 126,175, which is the cost for us to get into that property. It's the cost for us to buy it. It's the cost for repairs, and it's the cost for closing costs, right? And so we get 0.125. Okay. So if you guys remember from math class, right, you can do one of two things. You can times this times 100, or you can move that decimal point between the 0 and the 1. You can move it over what? How many spaces? 2 spaces, right? 1, 2, which means it's going to, and that'll give us our percentage. So that means we have a 12.55% ROI, return on investment, or capitalization rate. So cap rate. Okay. So capitalization rate, a lot of times we're utilizing that for commercial properties, 5 units or more. And really what the capitalization rate, the cap rate for short, is really representing it's representing your level of risk. Okay. Okay. It's risk to reward. Okay. So now that you can kind of see this process, 12.55%. Okay. After me overestimating some of the costs, you can see why we're excited about this deal, because where are you putting your money at? And by the way, we're going to get our money back from this, and I'm going to explain that to you here in a quick second. We're going to all the money that it's taking to get into this property, we're actually going to get that money back. Okay, but where are you taking your money where you can go ahead and get that rate of return? You put it into your savings account. You're stuffing money underneath your mattress. You're saving it, right, in a bank. I mean, you're getting 1% if you're lucky, right? You put it into a money market account. You might keep up with inflation, 3%, right? You do it into a mutual fund. Maybe you're 5-6%, right? If you're invested with your company, right? Maybe they have a program. You might do a little bit better, 6-8%. If you're doing it in the stock market, you might get 10, you might get 12, you might lose all of it as well, right? So where can you get something where you're getting paid by the government on Section 8, because you got Section 8s on time every first of the month, right? And you're getting it after taking out expenses, you're getting 12.55% rate of return on your money, okay? This is how you need to look at your projects, right? It's long-term money, right? It's not something that's going to be, I'm not going to be rich off of this one property, right? Our company is not going to be rich, and the person that we're working with is not going to get rich off of this one property, right? Like I think I told you, we're going to, might make out, $250 per unit, $1,000 per month, okay? But what we're going to do, and what you can do, is when you find a property like this that you can add value to and raise the value of what the total value of what the property is worth. It's called an add value property, right? So as we add the value, as we add things to it, as we beautify it, as we make it better, as we you can add value by doing what's called the RUBS method, where you change over the utilities, right? So that each person is paying for their own utilities. You can add value by beautifying the property, putting in nicer countertops, or making the property nicer so that you can charge more rent, right? You can add value by decreasing costs, right? So it directly affects your net operating income, right? So there's a couple of ways that you can add value to the property to raise the evaluation of the property up, okay? But at the end of the day, once we get into this property, the property is going to be worth more than what it's worth right now, because we actually have a business that's creating income. You got to understand that it's no longer just an empty apartment. The banks and whoever's looking at leveraging this money, or looking at loaning against this money so we can leverage against it, they're looking at it as, is it a safe bet? Is it earning income? If so, how much income is it earning? Also, how much is the property, the land that it's sitting on worth, and how much is the structure worth? All those things come into a nice, neat package, to determine how much they're willing to loan against that. So to get into this property, we're putting about 25K up, right? Now, I know I told you that the purchase price is 97.5. We're going to use bank funds. We're going to go ahead and put about a little less than $25,000, 25% of it up, right? We're going to put 25% up, and then once this thing is rented out, we're going to use the BRRRR method, right? And that BRRRR method, right, is buy, renovate. We put a comma in between each one of these so we don't get, we're going to rent out, going to refinance and repeat. Okay. The BRRRR method: buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And the type of refinance that we want to do is called a cash out refi, right? So what that means is that we're not just refinancing to get a better term. We're refinancing and leverage the equity that we have created through adding value to the property. Okay. So when we got the property, I think the property right now is evaluated at something like right around, I think when we looked at it, it's probably right around 110, 115, somewhere around that. I think it was 115, around that price point. Okay. And so when we add this value to this property, we're looking at other properties, it'll probably be worth somewhere around 175-ish, 180. Okay. And so what we're going to do is now we're going to leverage that and pull that money that we put in as close as possible to all of it, if not all of it. Okay, pull that money out so we can put that money back in our account. Now you're saying, well, hold on. If you're doing that, doesn't that mean that you have a mortgage on the property? Of course, we had a mortgage on it in the beginning, right? Because again, we're only putting up 25% of the 97.5, and 100% of the rehab is being paid for by the lender. Okay, so yeah, we have a loan out for roughly around $100,000. Absolutely. We're going to refinance it with a bank with more favorable interest rates. Okay. And then we're going to actually pull out more money. So yes, is our mortgage going to be a little bit higher? Yeah, it is. But am I paying that? And it's number one, it's already accounted for in that 45%. I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's not accounted for. Scratch that. It's not. The debt services is not a part of that. But am I paying for that out of my pocket? No. Who's paying for it? The tenants, and honestly, really, the government's paying for it. So I'm able to get into this property eventually because the way we're structuring this thing, we're going to add money onto the payment every single month to aggressively pay the property down. Okay, so we're going to aggressively pay that property down, and over time, we're going to pay that property off in probably 7 to 10 years. Okay, and we'll own it free and clear, and then we'll probably leverage against it again, right? So that we can get into the next property. Debt, not all debt is good, but if you're in the right moment, in the right time, and you are smart enough to leverage that debt, you can use that debt to amass a large real estate fund, right? So if you guys are feeling like this is valuable, man, make sure that you hit the like button and make sure that you guys put the notification bell on so when we do these things on Wednesday, you guys get notified. Also, make sure that you understand that this is brought to you by Connectly, and make sure that you go check that out, www.connectly.com, for your all-in-one tool for CRM courses, for your Airbnb course, for your wholesaling course, for your text messaging campaign, for your email campaign, for your customer relationship management tool. All of that is wrapped up in Connectly. Make sure you check that out. All right, so hopefully I was able to break that down. Ryan said, how long do you have to rent before you do a refi cash out? 6 months for the bank that we're using is a cash out refi. We need a 6 months. It's a very good question. 6 month seasoning period. Okay. Made official. I don't know if he's still on here or you're still on here, he or she. How do you keep the property maintenance during the time of renting? Money set aside for repairs? Absolutely. So if you guys go look at the video on my Instagram, you'll see I think it's the second video in where we did I did a live. So I walked through the property. You got a chance to be able to see it. It doesn't take a lot of work. So I'm estimating This repair job, I mean, very little amount, probably 2 to 3 weeks. Most, if we include pulling permits, depending on how fast they do with the permits, maybe a month. Okay. Not a very long amount of time. Someone aggressively, a good contractor aggressively could go in there and probably knock out everything we need to knock out in a week's time, because it's almost ready to go. Actually, one of the units is ready to go. The unit above it needs some kitchen stuff, and then the other 2 units are they need some electrical work done and some kitchen stuff. So almost ready to go. All right. To answer that question, how do you keep the property maintained during the time of renting? Money set aside for repairs. My main concern while this is under construction is the security of it. Okay. I'm not too concerned with if the grass is not all the way cut, because we're working on it. Lawn care and maintenance, that's factored in, in that $25,000 that we have set aside for repairs. But my main thing is security. So boarding it up after we're done every night to make sure that, at least we provide some type of deterrent for people breaking in. Immediately getting insured. Oh, that's a huge thing. I bought a duplex a while ago and took my time and didn't get it insured right away. Man, cost me a lot of money. The tenants that were staying in there tore the place up, left it open, and it was vandalized. And because I didn't have insurance, I had to pay for that. So that was a costly mistake. So making sure that you get that stuff done right away. So those are the things that you would need to do and knock out to make sure that your property, protecting your property and having it maintained. Yeah, appreciate that, Made Official Solutions. No problem, James. I appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. So all I would need is the software pretty much to get leads. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, man, it teaches you a variety way of getting the leads, but again, getting the leads and keeping track of the leads are 2 different things. So it puts all of that stuff together, man, in one cohesive package. You're not going to find anything else like it. Like I said, that community, some people said they know what community is. Community alone is $100 just to be able to have that feature of, oh, text me, right? But it's cool to be able to have that feature, but you also need to be able to follow up with it as well. All right, everybody. We're going to bring this one to a close. Once again, man, I really, really appreciate you guys hopping on here. Make sure that you guys have your questions. I really want to, man, I really would rather spend more time helping you. Yes, there is Ryan said, do we have an RVM feature? Yes, there is an RVM feature in there as well. Matter of fact, once you join Connectly, you'll actually get a ringless voicemail from me saying thank you for joining it. And I show you in a video, an easy how-to video. It's literally about maybe 4 or 5 minutes on how to set up your RVM. You literally just go ahead and speak into it on your phone, put that onto your computer on a file, make sure it's in the right format, drag and drop it, set up how much time before you want it to go out, and you're done. All right, done. Let me see. Will it interfere already if you have? So you're gonna have to switch over, but you're gonna find a better value with Connectly anywhere, Nakia. Yep, no problem at all. No problem at all. So I appreciate you guys. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna break this one up, man. We're gonna say peace to you guys for now. My voice is going because if you can hear it, man, I've been talking all day on the phone and on messaging, on Zooms and ridiculous amounts. So you guys have a blessed night. Please come back. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you push this out to your friends on YouTube, notifications, all that good stuff. Because I really want to be able to make sure that we help you guys. There is no reason why you should not be getting your first deal in 2021, 21, and then scaling from there, right? And if you already have gotten deals, we want to show you how to make sure that you're getting multiple deals per month. All right. So you guys have a blessed evening. Love you guys, man. Be safe and take care. Peace.